So this time of year, January, falls somewhere in the middle of our Introduction to Judaism class, and it means that those of us who are sponsoring our conversion students are deep in conversation along the way with them about their experience. And one of the things that I feel like all of us, the rabbinic sponsors here at Addis Israel, on some level experience or hear about is some version of what we know to be the imposter syndrome. That the more people put themselves into this space sometimes, the more they will often feel like they will never live up to the space or fully understand the space. And Judaism has a lot of insider baseball-ish type things that happen. And so it is understandable. And it is natural, it is understandable, but as the conversations happen, I recognize them around this time of year, and I know that we will be having those. Imposter syndrome in and of itself isn't only for people who are, let's say, converting into Judaism. There are rare days in the rabbinate that I do not feel like an imposter. I look at my schedule every day, I see who's coming, I know what some of those conversations are going to be, especially when they are pastoral. And my first thought is, I will have nothing to offer. Why would anybody possibly want to talk to me about that thing bigger than me after the lives that they have already led? Imposter syndrome exists in almost every profession, phase of life. I don't remember what I was doing yesterday. Oh, I was listening in to our staff's Purim meeting, which is like my favorite thing to do. I listen from my office while Melissa is running the meeting from her desk, and then I yell things out when I like or don't like what I'm hearing, which is very Purim-like. But I was also scrolling through Instagram at the same time, and I saw the post of somebody who grew up in this congregation and who is now a friend, Liz Kleinrock. Liz Kleinrock is one of the most celebrated educators in the world. She literally made a list of like the top 100 influential educators just a few months ago, and she was recently speaking at an international equity conference, and this is what she reflected. She's pretty much done everything in the arena of public speaking. She said, she got up on the dais. They must have invited the wrong person, she thought to herself. There's no way I could be speaking on the stage with Clint Smith. He's brilliant. Who do I think I am? If I fake sick, will they let me go home? And it's true that imposter syndrome is more prevalent among women, specifically women of color, but we are all susceptible to it. The belief that we are undeserving of our achievements and the high esteem sometimes in which we are held don't belong to us. We don't feel competent or intelligent. I saw a beautiful essay by a convert. She wrote, I realize my imposter syndrome is something else entirely. I already confirmed through my small Jewish friend circle that Jewish imposter syndrome was not a feeling unique to me. Everyone I spoke to, born Jews, converts, people who kept Shabbat, people who were not observant at all, they all seemed to suffer from imposter syndrome. And although we shared different opinions on various religious matters, everyone seemed to feel that they were somehow inadequate. I have to say, if religion is always making us feel inadequate, we need to figure out what to do about the religion, or how we talk about the religion. She said, as my Jewish friend circle began to grow, I realized that the Jewish imposter syndrome was the common denominator among us. Indeed, Jewish imposter syndrome is a feeling as old as the Torah, which is absolutely true. Because our first imposter was Moses. Three times at the beginning of the book of Exodus, once in Parashat Shemot, twice in this week's Parashat Va-Eira, Moses says, I am unworthy. After God explains to Moses how to convince the people through miracles that, in fact, God means business, at the bush, Moses implores God, "Please, O Lord, I have never been a person of words, either in times past or now. I am heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue. Don't choose me." Now, regardless of what he means by heavy of mouth or heavy of tongue, whether he has some kind of difficulty in speaking, or whether what I think probably is true is he doesn't know the language the Israelites speak because he grew up in the Egyptian palace, whatever it is, the moment in which he is told, "You are the one, precisely the one I want," his response is, "No, not me." And so he goes anyway, and he tries, and his attempt fails, and the people, the Israelites, hate their new leader, and Pharaoh crushes the Israelites under a burden of slavery they had not even known in the past. And Moses goes back to God, and he says, "The Israelites would not listen to me. Ve'ech yashmi'eni paro, va'ani arel sfatayim." How will Pharaoh heed me? If the Israelites, the people I am meant to lead, hate me, what do you think the king of Egypt will do? I am arel sfatayim, uncircumcised of lips. I am unworthy. I am not the right person for this job. Of course, God knows exactly who God wants. God knows who is deeply worthy. That's what God does. God sees each and every one of us at our very best, even when we cannot. Three times. So, because I think each one of us in this room, in some level, experiences some version of the imposter syndrome, like Moses, who came before us, I'm interested in God's responses in each of these three moments. God's responses to Moses. The first time Moses says, "I am unworthy," God says, "Who gives humanity speech? Who will set a mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will be your mouth. I will instruct you what to say. Your brother Aaron, the Levite, he speaks readily. He's on his way to meet you. He will speak on your behalf." God says to Moses, when Moses says, "I am unworthy," you are not alone. You're not alone. I'm with you, and I'm giving you a chavruta, a partner, a loved one to be your voice when you cannot find your own. The second time Moses says, "I am unworthy, please, not me," an interesting message comes narrated out of the Torah. There's no direct response from God in that moment, but the Torah inserts God's words, in my mind, as a response to Moses feeling his imposter syndrome. So the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron with regard to the Israelites, instructing them to deliver the Israelites from the land of Egypt. These are the following, the heads of their respective clans, the sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn. Enoch, Palu. Right after Moses says, "I am unworthy," God goes into one of these long lines of who is born to whom and who belongs to whom. And we get to, here are the names of Levi's sons by their lineage: Gershon, Kohat, Merari. The sons of Kohat, Amram, Itzhar, Hebron, Uziel. Amram took to wife his father's sister, Yocheved. Don't worry about that part. And she bore him Aaron and Moses. It is the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Bring forth the Israelites from the land of Egypt, troop by troop," which is to say, this time the genealogy, the lines God are giving are there to connect the Israelite people to Moses so that Moses can hear in the moment he is feeling most unworthy, most imposter-like, God says to him, "Here are the Israelites. Let me tell you who they are and where they come from." And then he names Moses and Aaron, and he said, "That's you. That's you. It is the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, 'Bring forth the Israelites from the land of Egypt.'" Moses is feeling like an imposter. He is feeling unworthy, like there's a better person for the job, and God comes along and says, You belong to me. You belong to all of us. You are at home here, wherever you may find yourself. This is your home, this people. Welcome home. You may step forward now. And the third response to Moses' insecurity, God replies, "See, I've made you a god to Pharaoh. Your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You shall repeat all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh, but I will harden Pharaoh's heart, multiply my signs and wonder." God says, look, you are feeling less than, I understand. I created humanity with the capacity to see themselves as less than they are actually worth. I have. But I will make you a god to Pharaoh. In fact, you do have power. You are created in my image. Your power is divine. You are like a god because you come from me. You matter because I matter. Judaism matters because you matter. Pharaoh power, it comes and it goes. But Moses' message and God's lifting up of Moses to put him in a position to be a redemptive force in the world, that does not come and go. However delivered, it is always eternal. 3 responses God gives to Moses' perceived imposter syndrome. And they are lessons for all of us because we all experience it too on a regular basis in our homes, in our jobs, if we are so lucky to have them. We all experience some version of why me? There's somebody better. So I give you God's responses to Moses. You are not alone. Each of us feels this. But you need a partner. You need somebody to lift you up and help you through. Each one of us does. Number 2, you belong. You may not feel it, but know in your bones that we are diminished without your presence. The moment in which you feel like you do not belong, and that means every single person in this space right now, I need you to know that from up here, we are diminished without your presence. It is less God in the room. That's not okay. And even if you don't believe it, the days you feel most flat, you have power. You are created in God's image. That is the ultimate gift. So whether you like it or not, you're a source of strength and presence in any challenge you face. That is how God responds to Moses, and that is how the Judaism we want to affirm ought to respond to each and every person that walks through these doors and every other. This is what the world needs, our community needs. This is what Judaism needs. Intention, effort, thoughtfulness, humble confidence. Jessica DeMarco Jacobson, the convert who I told you read from you from, she ended her essay this way, and I'll end this sermon in the same way because she can say it better than I can. She said, "I try to tackle imposter syndrome through metaphor. I think of my Judaism as a mikveh, not a mythical beast. A mikveh, the waters that we immerse into. Traditions, mitzvot, commandments, those beautiful things, they are the act of dipping yourself into the mikveh and reciting the blessings. But it doesn't matter how gracefully I go into the mikveh. It doesn't matter if I stumble over the blessings while I say them," she said. "As long as I do these things earnestly and to the best of my ability, I will emerge from the waters still a Jew. It doesn't matter if I accidentally turn to the wrong page in the Eitz Chaim. It doesn't matter if I announce the wrong day for Rosh Chodesh. It doesn't matter if I know the significance of every little act done in this service, and by the way, I don't, only the cantor does. As long as we do them together earnestly, to the best of our ability in the moment, with an open mind and willing to learn from my mistakes," she wrote, "I will emerge from the waters as a Jew." Intention, effort, thoughtfulness, humble confidence. Even when it feels like the wall is too thick, the challenge is too great, the crisis too pervasive, remember Moses and remember how God responds. Moses, imposter extraordinaire, and no different than you and me. Shabbat shalom.